Welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. Our theme for 2025 is the future of work. Meaning is the new money. In a world shaped by rapid innovation and constant change, the pursuit of purpose and impact has never been more important. I'm Dr. John Dentico, your host, bringing over 30 years of experience in leadership, strategic thinking, and purpose-driven innovation. Here, we tackle the pressing challenges of our time, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the growing need for meaning in the workplace. Together, we'll uncover how leaders can ethically integrate AI to enhance decision-making and keep humanity at the heart of their organizations. Remember, amidst all the technological advancements, in the end, it's always about the people. This podcast is your resource for actionable tools, thought-provoking discussions, and inspiring stories. It's time to go beyond leadership development and focus on leadership impact, creating workplaces where people thrive, innovation flourishes, and meaning truly becomes the new currency. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let's throttle up and dive into today's episode. Good morning, all, and welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Dr. John Dentico. With me this morning is Rupali Kumbhani, a global strategic leader renowned for driving high-visibility initiatives that address complex enterprise challenges through transformative technology. With a strong ability to craft data-driven roadmaps and set a forward-looking strategic vision, she has played a pivotal role in developing innovative products and solutions. Rupali is known for her expertise in building collaborative and trusted partnerships across diverse cultures, priorities, and personalities. She has a remarkable ability to unite business and technology, fostering cohesive, productive teams. With extensive experience in both B2B and B2C environments, she embraces emerging technologies to shape the future of work. Today, she joins me to discuss leadership, innovation, and the evolving nature of work, with a special focus on how to build a value-based culture and how adaptive leadership can drive innovation and generate value for organizations. And I am truly pleased she is here with me today. Good morning, Kumbhani. How are you?
I am good. Thank you for that kind introduction, Dr. John.
You are most welcome. Most welcome. Let's get down to the interview. So let me ask you this. Tell me a bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? And what in your mind were some of the fundamental influences in your life?
So I'm born and raised in Mumbai, India, and I'm currently in Chicago in United States. So my journey has been from different countries and experience exposed to different level. People who influenced me, I feel like it's that journey still keeps on going. It's every day-to-day life. I meet different people who touch me in a different level, gives me that different perspective, the way my thinking is, and then they come up with their perspective, and I feel, oh my gosh, I never thought this in that perspective. So influences are always there. I would say strongly would be some of the leaders I have grew up with as my family, my parents. I've seen them in a different level. My mother is a housemaker, but with that limited resources, what she has to deal with her children gives me that path that how we can survive in a limited resources. That is super helpful to me when I'm driving teams, when we are in a small startup or in a mid-sized organization where you don't have resources every time. You don't lose the hope, but you find a way to reach the outcome you want to. So I think so that's the biggest influence on me.
Great. Yeah. Having little makes you very wise in terms of how to use the resources at your hand. I know I grew up in the tenements of New York City, and my father was a PTSD survivor of World War II. And we didn't have much, but we made everything work somehow. I don't know, with the four of us.
Well,
But anyway, let's move on if we can. Um, Rupali, you emphasize the importance of a value-based culture. I'm on board. How do you define it, and why do you believe it's critical in today's rapidly evolving workplace?
So I feel like this is something would be, it's a classic which will survive times. So just like any culture, it starts with the top. A value-based culture starts with the organization understanding that what value they bring to their customer or to their clients. What is the organization mission, vision look like? Why we are doing it. I know at the end, every organization wants to be successful and they wanted to earn money for themselves, for their stakeholders. So I get it. But then what does that bigger picture look like? How are we trying to be successful and what that success means to each organization? And I feel like most of the organization does that in their space and in the capacity which they think is appropriate for that. That builds up your culture. Now, once you have that, a lot of time company does not extend that to their teams or as a leader when I'm driving it. And that's where I feel it's very important to have this value-based culture. You have hire ex team members to join your team to drive the initiative. Obviously, they are getting compensated monetarily basis for doing their work. But every one of us want to be successful in a different level. We wanted to see how I'm adding the value to the organization and how the organization is adding value to me. It's that mutual transaction, which where I feel like a lot of organization doesn't do it. Yes, this is the product you have to build. This is the transformation you have to do it. This feature needs to be changed. But why it needs to be changed? A lot of time we don't ask people that. And what is my role in it? I'm an engineer, so am I just pushing some buttons and making this work? Or no, you are making this change that will help our customer or that will help our organization to achieve this. You are playing this role. And that gives that open dialogue to the people. And then you, as an engineer, can ask a question, but I don't think so. What you're trying to achieve for your customer, this is what we are trying to go. It's not going to be the way to achieve that. That's where your creative solutions comes out from. That's where the innovative part comes out from. The people are able to talk, they share their things. So that's the value addition will drive your team to go beyond their 9 to 5 jobs. You will get a loyal team member. You will get invested team members. And that's to me is a value-based organization or a value-based culture.
I agree with you. The thing that I have come to really understand in the last several months is that values alignment, which is something that many of the multi generational workforce are looking for, right? They want values alignment. Runs both ways. It goes both ways. You can't be a company and expect them to come in, people coming into your organization, and be aligned with your values if the organization itself does not articulate what its values are and the way in which they do that. For me, the values really, the beginning part of it is having a concise, very specific mission statement, a handle, right? You want people to grab onto the handle, if you will. Hang on, here we go. That kind of a thing. Who are you? What do you do? What do you intend to do? And what are you all about? And if you don't have that, in fact, I was on with a guest not too long ago, and we talked about this, that if you can't, how do you find meaning in work? That's a real big thing. I've been writing about meaning for over 25 years, how important it is. The greatest motivational factor on the planet is people finding meaning. Well, how do you find meaning if you're not explaining to people exactly where they can find meaning and how they can find meaning in your organization? So I absolutely agree. And the other thing, this one point, this is like a dagger here. Values are not traits.
Yeah.
Traits are traits. They're not values. Values are shared.
Yeah.
Traits are owned by that individual.
Right.
Anyway, let's move on a little bit if we can.
Sure.
You've led high visibility global initiatives.
Right.
Can you share an example of how adaptive leadership has helped you navigate complex challenges and drive innovation? In other words, what is your perspective or definition of leadership? We could start there.
Sure. So, adaptive leadership is the framework I follow, and I stumble upon it accidentally. I was going through my own journey. I have certain skills and traits I've created, and I feel like this helps me to drive the innovation. This helps me to drive my team. And when I was going through this journey where people was like, then how you define your leadership? What is the name is given? It's not thought leadership. It's not just servant leadership. What is it called? And during that time, I came across adaptive leadership. This has been developed by Harvard professors to create a leadership which helps you to answer the questions which are not straightforward. If something goes through a complex time, it goes through does not have a cookie cutter solution. It's not a you implement a product and you get a solution. So those kind of leadership, those kind of situation, how you handle it, they have given up a framework. And some of the skills out of which where I feel I leverage more so often, which helps me in driving those global initiatives. First one is the active listening without the bias. We all have heard about active listening. Active listening is very clear. You listen to a person. But a lot of time is missing the piece was the without that bias. All of us are with the biases. I cannot be saying that I'm an individual without any biases. But as a leader, I spend time on self-reflection to understand what are my biases is. And when I am conversing with any kind of a stakeholder, is my decision coming out based on those biases, or am I really listening to you and your perspective and where you are coming from? And when you spend that time, it goes back to that value. Because I value you as an individual, I'm spending time with you to understand what you're talking about. And that means listening to a person, paying attention to their body languages. A lot of time you can learn a lot from a person without listening to their words. Because I work in a technology industries where there are a lot of introverts. They are not open to talk about it. When you are meeting, a lot of us feel about this is a stupid question. Why should I ask it? Or this is a stupid comment. What will happen if I say so? Would it affect my performance? I should not talk right now these things. But if you pay attention to the body language, it will help you to understand. Example of it, I was driving a couple of global initiative in my organization where one of my colleagues was driving a global initiative for implementing a project management methodologies. Now, the initial phase of methodologies were gone fine. We were collaborating with the global leaders on a project management space or the leaders from analyst space to build a new methodology which can be implemented enterprise level so all of us are talking the same lingo. When they were planning it, when they were building it, all was going very good and smooth. But when the time of implementation came, that's where there are some teams, some regions were way ahead in the line, where other regions were way behind it. And consistently, the meeting after meeting, we were not progressing. That's where my leader came to me and says, you've been driving some of other global ones. Why don't you do some magic here too? I want you to drive this initiative because it's in a stall state. We are not moving forward. And without having the enterprise level and implementation, it cannot be a successful one. The first thing which I did is going back to my tool set, active listening without the biases. I set up a meeting with the regions who are behind and their leaders and listening to them. Just take away everything which you have done it in the past and let me know what is the problem is. And making sure that I'm not going to be judging you. I'm not going to make sure and tell you, hey, but you agreed when we were building this methodology. Why now you are backing it out? Why now you have all this problem saying this methodology is too big? There is so much documents to fill out. My team is feeling the heat. They don't feel it's necessary to do all this work. When I taken those biases away, when I taken those judgment away, there was an open dialogue. And I came to know this was the reasoning that is stopping them to move forward. Then was the next step was I am open to the changes, adaptability. Yes, we have spent X amount of dollars, time, resources to build that methodology. But if it is not working, then dwelling on what we have done it in the past would not help me to move forward. Are you able to pivot yourself? That adaptability helps me to drive those initiatives. So I said, okay, let's talk about this. What are the methods or what are those documents or processes you feel is redundant for you? How can we prioritize this? Make certain processes and documents to be mandatory and rest of them to be a temporary one. It depends upon the project. One size does not fit all. Let's make that these are the mandatory one. You wanted to have your financial report each time, and it has to be consistent all across a different team. But how you run your team agile or waterfall should not be a mandatory because it's a project-based things. And then those documents will vary. Doing that, we have reduced a lot of the waste, or I would say a lot of processes which they were feeling was redundant or was not needed for their team. Having for them to listen to what they are going through, help them to make that change. Yeah, they are listening. They are making that move. How can we make some step forward to implement this methodology? So that's one of the example I would say that active listening without a bias helps. Second is your adaptability to the changes. And that's is super critical when you're working at a global level or even at a local level if you are working in an uncertainty in current times where everything is changing so quickly. You should have ability to pivot yourself. If you are the one who stuck only on the problem and not on the solution, that's the showstopper as a leader. So that's another skill.
It's interesting. I think you're absolutely right. I mean, what it's reminiscent to, and as you're talking, I'm thinking about going into W. Edwards Deming and the process teams, process action teams. In other words, let's examine the process. Everybody's looking at the outcome. And the answer is let's look at the process. What's getting in the way? What are the issues? What are the challenges? But there's so much intertwined in that too. For example, the difference between strategic thinking and strategic planning. Strategic thinking, you're really trying to find the problem. Forget trying to find out what's really going on here, focusing on, because we may be in strategic planning, we may be focusing more on the efficiency of things and not the effectiveness. So that to me is really important. And today, I made the statement not too long ago that the leadership models that we have known that are the carryover in many respects of the industrial era are being shredded. It's like putting them in a shredder and watching it just go right through it, right? Why? The aftermath of the COVID pandemic will say, I just don't want a paycheck anymore. I need to do something meaningful. I want to have impact. I want people to listen to me, number one. Number two now certainly is AI.
Yeah.
The implication of AI across the board at the great, it's certainly, and I've heard several people say this, the single greatest technological advancement in the history of humanity. It's just unbelievable. Whereas I can remember 5, 10 years ago when people thought that AI was just a fantasy. Yeah, oh yeah, we're never going to get there. No, we're there and we're beyond that as the tools develop. So it's really having an amazing change to how we do business and how we get from one place to another. And I have always been this way, but now I'm a rabid believer in what I refer to as rapid prototyping. So in other words, that from engineering, rapid prototyping. We want to go here. Okay, it's going to take us a while to get there. Okay, let's start building something, try it out. Let's see what happens. At least we know what doesn't work. And moving on with that. So I absolutely appreciate your comments. It's great. I want to talk to you about this particular question. With your expertise in aligning business and technology, how can leaders ensure that tech adoption, as we talked about AI and all the different techniques, enhances human collaboration rather than replacing it?
Quick question. I think so. In the AI world, that's the common trend you've been listening everywhere. As a leader, I was just having a conversation with my small group leadership, which I was driving an AI conversation and I was trying to gather that information in the different industries because I have a one perspective of a one industry and talking with different ones gives you that perspective because leaders themselves are also worried about that how you as a leader would perceive in AI world. what would that skills would make you thrive and make you successful in this, or what is something will stop you from doing that? Then how we convey the same for the teams. Like team are feeling anxiety. And a lot of time is we live in this social media world, informational world where the information is thrown at to you. So from left and right, and you get all different trendy words coming to you and you feel left out saying, I am not there. So that's the reason my job will be cut out. So my answer to any of them is whether you are a leader or a team member, if you are a person who are not open to AI and feel like you were saying that AI is not going to be stay here and not putting yourself out learning it, then yes, you will be left behind. You will not move forward in this forward thinking leadership style or forward thinking organization, because any organization, whether you are a technology or not, it's going to affect you. So you need to be learn about AI. You need to be that lifelong learner. You need to be learning about what does AI means. So if you are that person, you will find your footstep and you will learn about it. Second is, if your job is more administrative, as a leader, if you're relying a lot on others, you do not have your own specific style or a way of knowledge gathering, then yes, if it is, that's not going to be a good place to move forward. If you as a person is more taking notes in meetings, or yours is like arranging events or planning certain things, or it's more administrative, your role is not secured. You need to find a way, because AI, where I see the most benefit in the early stages would be on the administrative and a productivity work, your calendar management, your day to day life, your even project management to a level has been also done a lot by Chat GPT and a lot of other AI based tools. So that will work. What will give you an edge would be your experience, your ability to connect with each other, because AI is not that same level to know what John really wants. A lot of time when you are building that service or a product, you need to know who your customers are. That's where everything starts from. But that's where your human engagement helps you. Okay, my customer needs this. My customer is feeling this pain. My customer has this need. Let me build something for that. If you are upset or if you are not happy with, when you are talking with a chatbot, they don't feel your frustration, but a human can feel that frustration. How you engage with that? You will get a loyal customer through that. You can have a chatbot who can give a quick answer, but all of us are frustrated with that. When you always pressing that zero button, I need to talk with a real human. I want to talk with that real human. That human connection, even in a customer service level, when to use AI and when to use a human engagement is going to be that leadership skills would be helpful. So your way of engaging, seeing how industry is doing, and focusing on problem solving. That's the biggest thing when I'm talking with leaders, applying AI strategically. Everybody wants to use AI in some shape and form because it helps boost their company, it helps boost that productivity, it helps boost you telling that your organization is at forefront of technology rather than behind. But with that doesn't mean that you're investing into resources mindlessly or you're just following a trend. You have to still go back to the basic is, what problem am I trying to solve? Is this problem going to be solved by AI or not? I'm currently working as a board of director for a nonprofit organization, and they provide voices to people who are affected by conflict through art and literature. So when I joined, their first question was, everybody's talking about AI. Is AI going to be useful for us? How we can use AI for us? And I said, yes, you are a small nonprofit organization. We have to look into the resources which we have it. This has to go through strategically. B, you can't use AI for literature because that's the bread and butter of the nonprofit. We cannot tear anybody's voices or put that data in the AI world because it will become unethical. It will be open doors to all the rest of the people. So the privacy, the ethicality doesn't allow us. But yes, I try to create strategies or create implementation plans. So we leverage AI when we have to do administrative work, like hiring people, while doing some of the administrative work. That has increased the productivity. So I would say every leaders at any industry should be leveraging AI with to solve a problem, not just to implement because it sounds cool.
I would agree. Two things come to mind. Number one is, how many times have you been placed on hold by an automated system and wished that there was a real person on the other end of the line?
Yeah.
A lot of us.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a third point. This is my perspective. I think probably in the not too distant future, we may reach a point of AI saturation and look for the human to show back up again, if you will, in the things that they do. I think it's probably a little ways away, but I think there's so much happening. Development is happening so quickly. And of course, the quote of the day, if you will, from Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of NVIDIA, is you don't have to worry about AI taking your job. You have to worry about somebody who knows AI taking your job.
Yes.
And I think that's right on the money. I think that's where it's at. You have to be proficient. It's, in a manner of speaking, it's the same as saying, do you have any familiarity with something called the internet?
Yes.
No, I don't even know what the internet is. Oh, you're going to have problems because it's become such an integral part of the way we live today and what we do today and how we research things today. Never mind, AI is just the internet on steroids. It's really this amazing tool. And I will tell you, I was very resistant to it until about 2 months ago. And now I have my account on ChatGPT, pay my $20 a month, and it does wonderful things for me. Really amazing. A lot of times it'll answer questions for me. And a lot of times it will give me different pathways I didn't think about. You put something in there, and it'll say, did you think about this? No, I didn't think about that. Maybe I should do some more exploration. I'm getting ready to do a presentation next month. I was trying to figure out, how am I going to do this? And then I thought, this is the way, at least today, I'm going to do it. I normally have always in presentations built my own PowerPoint slides, right? I mean, I do everything myself. And that's what I'll do. I will build PowerPoint slides. I will build a story my way. Then I'll feed that to either chat or one of the other programs and have it come back and help me clarify it, look at different options, different ways of saying it. I think that's the way I think it would work for me best, because I have my story I want to tell. And I think the humanity has to come out, whomever you are, not only, but the humanity has to be there and has to come out. So I think it's tricky. It's tricky. I'm always concerned about, again, leadership, the implication of leadership. For me, I would just tell you that my leadership model that I started developing over 30 years ago, and this is not just a recent development, 30 years ago, has one basis for operation. It's built on one premise, and that is contribution. Okay? Contribution. We open the door. Okay. We have this problem or challenge. Anybody got any ideas? Anybody want to pony up an idea? Maybe a thought? Whatever you got. Let's put it all on the table and see where it takes us. That kind of idea of leadership, much more from a collaborative perspective. And I've said this many years ago, and now it's coming to fruition, and that is, we're recognizing leadership as an influence relationship where anybody can have influence. It's not positional any longer. It's a huge change. This is the shredding of the old leadership ideas into new thoughts.
Yeah, before you jump on to the next
ahead.
question, it's the interesting part you have said it, and I want to emphasize that, saying you have acknowledged that you were not at forefront of AI and now you are using it. And that's what I wanted to tell, because there are so many out there who are afraid or not ready, or you thinking that they might take my job, so I would rather not to talk and learn about that topic. But that's where that leadership, and it cannot be that the title level leadership. When we talk leadership, everybody thinks, oh, that has to be like C-suite or somebody like that. No, it can be anybody, because you are leading, you are leading your life. So you are given as a leader for your own life, because you have to make that decision. You're leading family, you are leading your team, you are collaborating as a leader. Even if you are a collaborator, you're still an influencer, as you have said it. So what I would say is just not to take a step and reject it because based on what people have said it or what you've been hearing. This is an opportunity as a leader to be an open leader. That is where that your openness to that diversified experience, information, how you process it shows what kind of leader you are. Maybe you are right. AI might be not what you were thinking of, or AI would not take your job away. But to give that information, you have to try and you have to have a concrete data with you and say, hey, I tried it and I tell you where AI fails and where I succeed. That's where you will show the value to people. Saying,
Yeah.
why should I keep you and not AI? Because I can do this better than AI. And this is where my strength lies in. So when people start doing that will be really great.
Yeah, I think it's absolute. I think people have got to get to know it. I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you my transformation story to AI. I'm
Yeah.
a member of the National Speakers Association in Virginia chapter, and I went to one of the meetings. First meeting I went to about 2 months ago, a little over 2 months ago, and I was talking about something, and they said what you should do is get a ChatGPT account, pay you $20 a month, and you can upload documents into it so it gets to know you. So I did that. I shut off the switch that says train the rest of GPT. There's a little switch that whoop, just keep it between us, as I like to say. And I uploaded my book. Other documents that I had written, resumes, CV, SRT files, which are the subtitle files from podcasts. I put that all up in there. And then this presentation I'm doing next month came along. And here's really where it makes money for you. I went and I said, okay, go look at this website. I said to ChatGPT. And came back. I said, got it. I said, okay, I want to do a presentation, take my background. Here's sort of the themes. Here's the way the presentation proposal should look. It sound warm and yet professional and those kinds of things. Because you can tell it what to be, tell it how to do it. And it came back and it was just, and I was like, I had whiplash. It was just so incredible. And I made some changes to it. I said, no, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this. Don't forget to add this to it and those different things. And it was brilliant. And I will tell you, I don't know if I've told them this, but I'm going to do this presentation. But ChatGPT was there right along with me, helping me articulate better than I could. Let me use a different word, summarize and articulate my background and my experience better than I could have at that moment. It would have taken me weeks to do what it did, and it did it in just a few seconds, which is just eye opening. I agree. You got to get to know it, you got to get to use it. It would be like saying no to the internet. I know I don't want to do anything on the internet. No, I don't want to know how to get an email. What's email? I don't even know what that is. That kind of a thing, as
Yeah.
ridiculous as it sounds. But
Yeah.
I think in the same way, I would agree. We have to get on with that. I want to ask you this if we can move on as we're getting
Okay.
to the end. For leaders who want to build a more meaningful and impact-driven work environment, let me say that. What are 3 immediate steps that they can take, in your opinion, to build a more impact-driven work environment?
So it will be again starting with the why of your organization, why you are doing it. And as you have clearly said it, it should be clear and concise. It cannot be 15 lines. Nobody can understand it. And it should be more relatable to your team members. It cannot be something made it in a silo and then it would not work for your team because it should be with the people you're working for. A lot of time the missions and visions are done in some silos and you have hired people that does not match with what you wanted to drive and what they wanted to deliver. That matching has to be there. So you have a clear mission vision and align your culture with that and hire people who matches those culture, not just the skill sets. So I would say it's a complete that circle when you do it, then the magic happens. If you miss one or steps here and there, it will not work. Second, I would say I would love to have equity in the team members. And I know in recent environment, when you say equity means you are targeting a certain demographic or you're targeting certain gender or certain areas, but people without the skills. And that's not what I feel like. I want equity when you are hiring in skill set. And what does that mean is you have to look into a journey of a person rather than following just on the results. Because if I'm hiring based a person on certain kind of organization you are previous experience in, or you have an X amount of years in certain industries, or you have to be qualified from this educational institute with this many grades, you miss out on the journey of a person. You have to see where I have started and where you have started and where we have landed ourselves into. Because if you work with so many leaders, one of the quality they wanted is a problem solver. You want a problem solver, a creative thinker, a forward thinking leader who can navigate in a uncertainty. Now, how do you measure through a resume? How do you measure that when you give a person's resume to them saying, you come from this institute, that means you can do all these things? No. You have to look in the journey of that person. My example, if somebody is looking for a healthcare leader and say, I need 20 years of experience in healthcare industry, I may not fit that bill because I moved from one industry to another. But what that prepared me is to work in an uncertainty. What prepared me how to adapt to the changes, which now it become more critical than in the past because everything is changing so drastically. So if you are not having that equity in your hiring processes, you are losing out on a quality people, which will build your team, which will build your organization. So I would love to have that there. And third is openness in every stages. Openness and transparency. Openness in how we are doing business. Even if you're saying my business is just to make money, I don't care about any vision, mission, be open about it. So that when you are hiring people, it's transparent to them. And make that openness transfer to all side of your work. It should not be stick to just the top level. Your openness to new technology, your openness to listening to different people. Because even if you don't want to hire a diversified people in your team, your client would be diversified. You don't pick and choose your client. If you are a growing organization, you are not going to be stuck with the one set of customers. You want it to expand every time to grow your organization. That means you are reaching out to different people. That might be a demographic, that might be a gender, that might be your way of thinking. Even a same race, people can think differently growing in a same country. That's very possible. So that's the reason when you have openness to all this new viewpoint, you will grow innovatively. I feel, and having that transparency helps you to build that cohesive culture.
I have to tell you, this is it's an interesting way to present it, and I will just tell you this my perspective. The problem equity has the problem the word has, it's a flashpoint
Yes.
because it's more the connotation of the word in today's vernacular is about preferences. Right. Equity is about preferences. And I would change, and that's what's got it as at a flashpoint. Because what we were looking for are people who have worked their way to a place, like you say, through difficult times. I'll tell you a couple of stories. I would not use the word equity in the way you express it. I would use the word heart. Heart is the word I use. Now, you hear a lot about heart in sports. He's down by 2 goals or down by 30, 25 or 30 points, and they come back and win the game in the last few minutes. We say that team has heart. They have the ability to persevere through the most difficult, complex times. I agree. 100%. We should be looking for people that have heart.
Yeah.
Tell you a couple of stories. I've had the honor and the privilege of interviewing a number of different people on my podcast. One is a black man named Arias. Arias had his two parents were incarcerated at the same time. His mother eventually got out, took two jobs, put food on the table. And Arias told me that he didn't have sports figures on his wall growing up. He had CEOs. And today he's an incredibly successful digital marketing guy. Incredibly successful. I've had another guy, Nikki Ballou. I love Nikki. Nikki is an Iranian refugee who got through Germany, was sent by his parents away when the Shah fell, went to Germany, eventually settled in Canada. And Nikki is a coach and an extremely influential business leader. I've had another person who is a Latino gentleman who had a very successful business, was an entrepreneur. He went to jail. He got mixed up in drugs, went to jail, did 2 years in jail, told me that prison saved his life. Today he has a wife, he has children, and he's returned to being a very successful entrepreneur. But he had to get rid of that demon, if you will. I've had another one tell me they were called the whiz kids of Wall Street. He was the whiz kid of Wall Street. Won some competition when he was in high school on Wall Street. Same thing. Went to jail for 2 years. Got out, and today he's now, again, back in business, doing amazingly well. This week I'm interviewing a woman who had no money and was a single mother taking care of 4 children and created a business. Just, I don't know how she did it. And she's now one of the number one designers of healthcare facilities
Wow.
in all of the East Coast. She designs doctors' offices and emergency clinics and different things like that. I suspect I'm not going to, all the people I've interviewed so far, I have never, ever heard the word victim.
Yep.
I have never heard them say, oh, I was a victim and everybody victimized and everybody went after me. No, never heard that word. They just, by sheer perseverance and grit, just got down and got it done. I mean, I'm blown away by it all. It's just amazing to me. The other thing that I want to bring out, and I've really been a little reluctant to talk about this, but I want to talk about it now, is this notion of diversity. Again, diversity is, again, another flashpoint.
Yeah.
But real diversity, to me, involves this. A person's background, sure, their experience, their education, right? Their thoughts, their ideas, their perspectives, and their heart. You got to have heart. You're right. If I were in a company, I want to hire somebody that's been through some difficult, complex issues. Because just as you said, they know how to solve problems. They know how to get through it, deal with difficult, complex times when other people have basically just thrown in the towel and walked away and said, I can't do this. And that's okay too. I mean, there comes times when life gets too hard. It can get too hard, and we see that in the numbers of suicides of young people today, which is just climbing every year. And I don't speak about that very lightly. I'll tell you that right now. So my point is, I agree. We need to have heart. We need to have someone who wants to talk about diversity. Make sure you get them to define what diversity means to them. Look for real diversity. And that's everything a person brings. And along with that, they'll bring their ethnicity. Sure. They'll bring their culture. Sure. Great. No problem with that. But it's just more than that. It's not just face value. It's what's inside. It's what's deep inside. I just thought I'd have to make those points, and I'd love to get your reflection on that.
Absolutely. You are bang on the money. That's what it is. And it also goes back to my third point is openness and willingness to listen. A lot of time, the moment I said diversify, And you see my face, and then he was like, oh, I know what she means. I know what is this diversity topic is going to be. You have put your biases up. You are not actively listening to me. You have just listening through that biased lens. Put them aside. Listen to the person. Open. When you open, then you will understand I'm not saying it has to focus equity or diversity in a respective manners of just focusing on certain things. It does not mean that person does not have a skill. They are not without the skills. What I'm saying is focus on the journey because that's where you will see the real person. You will see the real, we used to call it in past the soft skills. You will see what the soft skills comes back. Your first question to me was the influencer in my life as a leader. I said it, my mother. Me coming from a limited resources, seeing how my mom has survived and given us the best of the life, which we can't imagine how she has done it right now with the money she had it for 3 children, helps me when I am in that struggling time. When I have a limited resources, when I was working in a hospital where resources are so narrow and tight and impacts are humongous. I'm touching people's lives here. My one mistake will cost so many people their life. That time, how to navigate that perseverance, I've seen it growing up. I have done it for my life, and now I can continue here too. So that's what experience you have to look into it. And you have said it so nicely, saying, yes, we need to see that. While we are not seeing that, we are just focusing on that, what your resume brings to me, rather than what actually you have done.
And I think that's so important. I'll leave you with one last story, and I have to close out here very quickly. One of the people I interviewed was a woman named Tamsin Hall. Tamsin runs the Neurodiversity Academy in the United Kingdom. And we're having a conversation. And we're talking about those who may have ADHD or other challenges that they're facing in their lives. And we're going on. And I said, Tamsin, if I'm the manager, shouldn't I know about this? Should I know what the issue is? And she kept saying to me, no, John, be open, just like you said. Just be open. I said, but Tamsin, I might be able to help them a little bit more, make them feel more comfortable. And she kept saying, no, John, no, just be open. Just be open to their contribution. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at her as I'm looking at you. And I had this chill run down my back. And I recognized that Tamsin had just validated the leadership model that I had been working on for 30 years. It was like a bolt of lightning. It just flashed right before me. I started tearing up. I started getting very emotional about it because it was like 30 years, and it took this woman in the United Kingdom to validate 30 years of work that said, no, you're right. The leadership model where you're only concerned about contribution is what matters. Let people come. Let them contribute. Let them be who they need to be. We'll work through it. We'll get there. That kind of a thing. Just be welcoming. Welcoming, as she just said. So I'll leave you with that story, and I appreciate it. I have truly enjoyed this conversation this morning. I can't thank you enough for your time. I appreciate it so very much. I wish you all the success in the future, Rupali. Thanks so much for your time, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. John. I had a great time with you. It was a great conversation. So I appreciate you taking time, talking with me, sharing your stories. I've learned a lot of different stories through your perspective. So that's super helpful. And I hope our viewer and listener gets the same experience and get something out of that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You too.